Today, we're talking about 10 of the best Bible study tools for your youth group.
Welcome to the Ministry Coach Podcast, where we give you weekly tips and tactics to help you fast track the growth and health of your youth ministry. My name is Jeff Lascola, and this is
Kristen Lascola. And today we're going to spend a whole episode answering a question we get a lot from our listeners. I get a lot of emails or messages on YouTube, people asking what are the best Bible study materials for youth ministry. And to be honest, I never know if they mean like for them to study the Bible to teach to students, or if they mean a Bible study to give to students so that they study the Bible on their own.
Right.
And then maybe you come back and talk about it like in a small group discussion. So since I don't really know which one you mean, we're going to talk about both of them. But I feel like seriously, this question, ever since we started the podcast like 5.5 years ago, it just like keeps coming up over and over. So I'm like, great, let's condense it into one episode. And this is no doubt going to help you in your ministry, in your journey as a youth pastor, whether that's giving Bible studies to students or using them in your teaching. So I would actually write a lot of my own Bible studies for students. You know, like resources were pretty limited 21 years ago. Like the internet and youth ministry
hadn't even been created yet.
No, I was writing on a dinosaur to work. But it's just now I feel like there's a lot more out there. So I'm just going to share a few of my favorite ones. Doesn't mean there's not more out there. So you can comment below if there's another company or resource that you have just been like, oh, this was a game changer for me. The first one is Leader Treks. I love Leader Treks because it's super focused on discipleship. So you may have heard of the D Now Bible studies, Discipleship Now. Like they are so focused. I've even done some writing for them, and the format that they use is like always trying to move students toward action. Like, now what do you do? Who's going to hold you accountable? What is your next step? And I love that it's focused. Like, it's so perfect after the episode we talked about last week was all about discipleship. And so you can go back and check out that episode if you missed it. But I think Leader Treks is a perfect pairing for that. And by the way, they're not sponsoring this episode, so I don't get any cut from recommending them. It's just I've seen behind the curtain a little bit since I've written content for them. So who knows, maybe you'll come across one of my lessons that I've written for them. But I'm like, wow, like it's always trying to put the Bible in the context for students to understand and then take it and run with it. And I've looked on their website recently, and there's so many to choose from. And what it does, it's kind of a both and, like it gives you material that you study and helps your teaching. But then there's also stuff to literally put into the hands of students so that they have something tangible to study and come back with and grapple with on their own, which I think is a really important skill for students. Like I've heard pastors say my whole life, which I think is so good. Like eventually you have to pick up a fork and feed yourself.
Right.
I don't think that the sermon should be the only spiritual nourishment our students are receiving for an entire week. We always give the example of like, do you just eat one meal a week? You maybe Sunday was the feast in the locker room, like, yeah, game day, like we're all hyped up on, we're doing this together. But then you go out for the week and you have to figure out how to keep the training going. So putting material in the hands of our students is really important. And then teaching them like, you have to be a self-feeding Christian at some point in your life. And it's really hard for a student just to like, okay, open the Bible, ready, and I'm in Lamentations 4. What do I do now? So this helps them have like a stepping stone of like, could I read and understand the Bible on my own with some guidance? And the answer is, of course, yes, if we give them the right materials. Leader Treks has a ton of that. Highly recommend. Another thing I'd recommend now this is for students specifically, 2 books that I would recommend. One is a series. It's Habitudes by Tim Elmore. I feel like I struck gold when somebody like randomly was like, have you ever heard of Habitudes?
It was Luke
Kimmel
in our
YMGA group.
YMGA group. Yep.
I'm finishing all your sentences.
I know. What am I going to say next? I remember that. I remember the day. No, I remember he recommended that, and you've been over the moon about it ever since.
Thanks, Luke. And that wasn't even that long ago. I mean, I wish I had known about Habitudes my whole life. I haven't. And so it's like a series of books, and each chapter is like a particular topic with a short reading and then a ton of questions at the end. I love this for leadership. That's really what it's geared towards.
Student leadership.
Yes, I've written my student leadership curriculum based off of it. I've actually bought copies of this book, like the young professional version, to hand to my interns and my young leaders. And we tried to go through it together. They didn't always do the reading, so sometimes it was hard to talk about. But I tried, and I felt so sharpened by it too. It's just like leadership from a Christian perspective with so many good like nuggets in there. He brings in scripture. It's like such a great Bible study / leadership study. And then another great book is Do Hard Things. And this one, someone recommended it to me, I think like my first year as a youth pastor. So it's old now. The foreword was written by Chuck Norris.
Wow.
I know.
Impressive.
It's like these 2 brothers who just kind of went on this quest to challenge themselves to not be like a lazy adolescent, but to realize that within themselves, with the help of God, they have capability. And I love pointing students to how young some of these people that we consider heroes of the Bible, how young they were. Yeah. And like by today's standards, they'd be considered children, yet they were changing entire nations, with their actions. And it's just amazing. So I love that book as inspiration, again, for probably like a student leadership team. You could even kind of turn it into a sermon series if you kind of read it, digest it, and then regurgitate some points. And I'll just pause on that for a second. We've talked about the fact before, like that it's not like leaders are readers, but it's more like leaders are learners. And so I encourage you guys to be learning constantly about everything. I think it makes you a better speaker. I think it makes you a better teacher. I think it gives you a more dynamic perspective as a communicator. If you are just constantly learning and can grab different illustrations and stories and your communication becomes richer, I think the more educated you are. And I'm not talking about go get a PhD or do whatever you want. But I think like I'm always disciplining myself. Am I learning something in leadership? Am I learning something biblically? And then am I learning something like historically or scientifically or something like that? Because it's all God's story, like history, all history is God's story. All science is God's story. And so it just makes us be able to communicate God's truth that much richer. So I'm recommending these books, and it reminded me, like, we as pastors and leaders, what are we learning right now? And it just makes us much more interesting of people to listen to and gives us such a breadth of knowledge. I feel like when I listen to speakers, I'm like, wow, like you really brought in like this beautiful thing about astronomy or science and history and how God has worked in all, and it paired perfectly with your sermon, and just being overall well-rounded. I think it helps you become a more dynamic speaker. Just my 2 cents. The third one is Ministry to Youth. This is a lot of lessons. I went on their website again very recently, and I was just like, wow, like they have every topic covered. It's very youth friendly, very youth oriented. And again, they have things that are great for the pastor and great for the student. And I felt like it was very simple. So if you're just starting out in youth ministry and trying to get your feet wet in teaching, I think Ministry to Youth is a perfect resource. It feels very current and very relevant. Number 4, I always put DYM at the top of the list because they are publishing new content constantly. And if you're looking for help with your teaching or Bible studies for your students, you're going to find both there. And they're so cheap.
Yeah.
It's like ridiculously cheap. They have so many resources. If you haven't tapped into DYM yet, I mean, that's what saved me as like a 21-year-old youth pastor. It wasn't called DYM at the time. It was called More Than Dodgeball, Josh Griffin's blog. And I would go there all the time. Like, all right, what can I grab? Like, what is he putting out? And he would put stuff out quite a bit. And now it's just exploded. Like, there's games, there's Bible studies, there's worship stuff, there's one-off lessons. I mean, you might as well get a gold membership because it's so cheap and you could just go crazy and buy everything, right? And then G Shades is another one. So that one is more of a curriculum type feel. So that
more robust.
Yeah.
Comes with sermon bumpers and like the whole
I love that.
Start to finish kind of curriculum, right?
Yeah. It's like a package deal for you. And I feel like, gone are the days, like maybe if we're solely a senior teaching pastor, I don't think a youth pastor should be spending 20 hours building a sermon every single week. Not because the sermon isn't important, obviously it is, but because as youth pastors, we wear way more hats than just teacher. And so anything we can get, like a G Shades to supplement our teaching and give us graphics and bumpers and notes and whatever. Again, I never look at it as like I'm reciting a manuscript. I'm looking at it as, wow, it was almost like a brainstorming session with someone and I take the best parts and then I run with it and kind of communicate it my own way. But it's like reading the textbook, and then giving a presentation. It's not a crutch. And if you don't connect with it, move to the next lesson, right? But G Shades is awesome for that. Another one that I've loved personally, because this is my own personal interest, is Summit Ministries Light Bearer Curriculum. I've talked about it on the podcast before. I've bought it. I actually use it for my own kids because they go to public school. And so I do a Bible study with them, with another mom. We switch off every week because they have like a homeschool curriculum and then a private school curriculum, like for Christian schools. That's where I found it because I used to sub at a Christian school. And it's solely focused on worldview. So I love the idea that we're teaching students how to think, not what to think, so that they can identify what is truth, where did it come from, why does it matter, and then start to see sort of this global version of like, well, what do those people believe, and how can I spot a lie, or how can I spot, and what is the criteria for that? Not just like, well, I've always been told the Bible's true because God said so.
Right.
Well, that's great when you're 4, but like when we start asking some deep questions, can we answer like, why is the Bible reliable? Those start to matter the older that they get and they're pushed up against with like all these questions. So this one I feel like is more of a teaching curriculum. However, there is a student workbook. So if you wanted to turn that into a Bible study for the students, you can make copies of the workbook and you can pass it out if you wanted to do something like that. It has like a teacher manual. So it walks you through like as if you were, like a private school teacher and you were going to give a lesson on this thing. It even has a student textbook. Not that I would like want this to feel like school or something, but the reading pairs with the workbook and you could use it however you wanted. And this is kind of something I would do for like maybe 4 to 6 weeks and then kind of switch gears. If you were doing it as like a sermon series or a Bible study series, I think it's kind of dense to keep going and just make this the only thing we talk about, but it is really important. So I like, what's the origin of life and how do we know and what's the purpose of God? And
do they do theirs based off of like a calendar year? Like here's 52 weeks, or is it just a bunch of resources?
Probably it's really long. So I bought the textbook, the leader guide, and the student workbook. Okay. And they all kind of work together, but it's very oriented for schools. So it might not be your thing. I just think worldview curriculum is fascinating because to me, like that's again sort of what saved my Christianity and my faith, as a high schooler, where I just needed I just needed to think about my faith differently, not just the same, oh, well, it's true because it's true, or it's true because God said so, but things like, if everything has a beginning, then it means it had a cause. And if it had a cause, it has to be a cause outside of the entity acting upon it, outside of time, space, and matter. And I started putting all these pieces together of like, this makes so much sense. Like, even though I don't understand every tiny thing about the way God thinks or why God does what he does, I know it's true. Like, whether I want it, and I couldn't shake, it's true. It's true because of the way I finally could think, not just another Bible story and me learning now, go out and be a good person.
Right.
It's like, all right, but this isn't cutting it anymore. So that's why I love Summit Ministries, the Light Bearer series on worldview. Are you a youth or young adult pastor? Maybe you feel the weight of ministry more than you expected. You're carrying the needs of students, parents, and a congregation, often without much support for yourself. Or maybe you're longing for both practical tools to lead well and genuine care for your own soul. Well, if that's you, this new cohort might be exactly what you've been searching for. This fall, Onward is teaming up with us to launch a brand new youth and young adult pastor cohort. Together, we're combining decades of experience. I'm bringing proven strategies and training from years in youth ministry, and Corey is bringing intentional coaching and care for leaders who are navigating the challenges of ministry. So here's what's included. You're going to get one-on-one coaching sessions to set goals and find clarity in your calling. You're going to get group calls where you'll learn practical tools alongside other pastors walking the same road as you, and a one-day in-person gathering for connection, encouragement, and equipping. Plus, you're going to get lifetime access to our Youth Ministry Growth Accelerator platform with tons of videos and ongoing monthly coaching calls that you can return to again and again and again. This is more than a program. It's a community designed to help you not just survive in ministry, but truly thrive. So if you're ready to grow, be equipped, and find support in a community of peers, head over to onwardleader.com to apply. Space is limited, so don't wait. Take the next step in your ministry journey. We'd love to talk with you. Again, that's onwardleader.com. Number 7, the YouVersion Bible app. So if you are only using it for Bible, you are missing out. Like, it is a online Bible. So if you're, in a sermon and they say, turn to John 1:4, you're like already there. But it is so much more than that. So they have so many Bible studies, so many series on all kinds of topics.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And you can do one and it is pre-packaged, done for you. If your students have phones and you want to direct them to a good way to use their phone, here's one for you. And this is what I tell them a lot. Like, you have no excuse to not read your Bible. Like, it's on your phone.
Right.
And
well, I'm never on my phone.
Yeah, right. And these Bible studies are very bite-sized. Like, the students can do them, like, it will have like a reading, which is short. It's usually about 5 verses. And then there's like about a 2-paragraph sort of dive in summary. And then there's usually a prayer prompt for them. And then sort of like an action prompt. And then it just will kind of check box, like, you did it for today, see you tomorrow kind of thing. And so it's like, it's in their hands all the time. I don't even know if a lot of students know the depth of what the YouVersion Bible app is capable of. Thank you, Craig Rochelle. Him and his team developed it, and they've done such a good job. And they do have a kid version. I need to investigate it a little more. I'm just going to throw it out there that it does exist, but I think it's sort of on the young side. I don't think it's meant necessarily for students. It's more for probably kids. So I think that the Bible studies I've been a part of on the YouVersion Bible app are definitely like understandable for students.
Yeah.
And then this is a new one that I found recently that I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is something I totally would have used when I first started youth ministry, minibiblelessons.com. So there are, again, like all these different topics. Like, so for example, I kind of investigated the one on anger. Sometimes I struggle with anger. Who would have thought? And I was like, I want to see what they have to say. Jeff would have thought.
I don't want to say anything anyway, either way, because I don't want you to get angry. So.
See? So it's like the topic, and then it gives the students like, seriously, it was like 10 verses of like, what does the Bible say about anger? And then it's like, gives the reference and the meaning, of what it says, and then kind of like takes them through like, let's digest what we just read together, and then sort of here's what we do with it. And I think these would be perfect to just print out and give to your students, and then they come back the next week and you can do a round table group discussion. So this is perfect. Like we talked about this last week a little bit as a discipleship model. If you have a smaller youth group and you don't want to do just like, sometimes it's awkward, like I'm up here giving a 3.25-minute sermon to 4 kids, like read the room a little bit. This is weird. The energy's off. Well, what you could do is you could give them the Bible study and then have them do it at home. And you always have them out on the table because they'll lose them or not bring them. And then you guys bring it back. And then your sermon is literally you guys talking about and walking them through, and maybe you bring a little something, like tie it up in a bow, like some kind of, 5-minute, like little snippet on the topic to introduce it. And then you go to the discussion, like, all right, we'll pull out your Bible studies, because I'm sure you guys had a lot that you read last week or questions. So let's sort of dive in. And then, sorry, the mic. And then you do it together. Yeah. So I think that's a really great Bible study thing. And minibiblelessons.com. It's adorable.
What was the other one? I feel like someone brought it up in our Bible study, and then everyone was like, oh my gosh, I love that. Some video series.
The Bible Project?
Yes. You're always talking about that.
I love the Bible Project.
So I've never seen any of their videos.
What?
So who is it geared towards?
Oh, so
and would that make
anybody,
this list?
I would say junior high and up could understand it. And yeah, I think you could. I think I've used them as part of my sermons. So he has entire courses. Tim Mackey has entire courses that you can be a part of for free, by the way. Speaking of educating yourself, you could go take a course on, the life of Jesus for free from Dr. Tim Mackey. I don't know if he's a doctor, but he should be. So, Tim, I know you listen every week. Are you a doctor? Drop it in the comments below.
Is it on YouTube?
Yes.
Okay.
And it's fascinating. So yeah, like you could watch the video all together and then talk about it, and it could be a part of your sermon. I mean, you could send the kids a link for them to watch it on their own. Every youth group is such a different size and structure. I don't think that would necessarily work for us, but definitely using it as a part of my sermons has been huge. So he has a video on almost every book of the Bible. So if you're starting like James, put it up so it gives you like the overview. He's illustrating and talking at the same time. Well, the other guy's illustrating and he's talking. And so it's like the learning process is like full circle. I'm such a visual learner. And so and then he has specialty topics like spiritual beings in Elohim, or spiritual warfare, or the nature of God, or what is sin, all of this stuff that are specialty topics that, yeah, you could throw one of those up and then turn it into a Bible study, with your students. And he has notes on so it is on YouTube, but the Bible Project has its own website.
Oh, okay.
So I've found sermon notes on there. I mean, it took my sermons from like a C+ to a A+, because thank you, Tim Mackey. It was just this stuff that blew my mind. So yes, if you're not into the Bible Project yet, that is good stuff. Yeah. Yes. I'm glad you brought that up. And then this one is a classic. And
I thought you, sorry. I thought I was skipping ahead. I thought that was your last one before that.
No.
Silly me.
This one will be short, but I just had to throw it in there because this is the way I learned to study the Bible on my own as a junior higher. I went to a Christian school and my Bible teacher, Mr. Kelly, had
Dr. Kelly, maybe.
Dr. He's not.
Oh, sorry.
He's not. Unless he got some more education after. But anyways, he was very smart, loved him a lot. And he would have up on his desk for the taking our daily bread. And it was great because it was just these little booklets and they were seasonal. So it'd be like
seasoned bread. Take two.
All right. It'd be like June, July, August. And it would be like a 3-month thing all in one. And then every day it would have a reading and then a little excerpt and then a final thought. I know why you're laughing. So
why am I laughing?
I don't know.
I know why you're laughing. I don't know why.
So I was able to like literally read the Bible on my own as a middle schooler every day. And I would say those changed my life. Like it got me in the word. It kept me disciplined. It felt very doable. It was very understandable. And I personally am a tangible person. I love tangible calendars. I love tangible books. I mean, I only read on my Kindle so that I can pass out and go to sleep without turning off my light, but I would rather have a book. Like I'm tangible. So grabbing our daily bread and putting in my physical, tangible Bible, I loved that routine as a 12-year-old of like, here's my Bible, here's my daily bread, I'm on this page, and like just something about holding it and seeing it and interacting with it was just very helpful for me. I still have notes in my prayer journal to this day from some of the authors of Our Daily Bread that were just so good. They always will give like a quote and a verse and a passage, and then they would have this other little section on the page for the day. It was like, if you want to read the Bible in a year, here's what you should read today. And so I never did it, but it was always a goal of mine. And then as an adult, I finally did read through the entire Bible. But it was kind of always there beckoning me of like, oh, I should probably read the whole Bible. So it's just kind of cool to plant those seeds for students, you know? So I feel like between all of that, there's so much in there to get you going. And if you're feeling, you know, creative, write a few of your own and flex that muscle a little bit. Why not? It's your voice for your students, which is super valuable.
Yeah. Make sure you guys check out all the resources. We'll link everything below, including the books that you mentioned, and then all the other websites and things like that. So they're all in the description below. And also, if you have any that you'd like to add to the list, please put it in the comment section below if you're watching on YouTube. All right, let's do a community comment of the day. This comes from Royalty Blue, who says, I'm planning for a young people's camp for the first time, and coming across this channel and material is just God sent.
Woo.
You guys are resourceful. God bless you, whale size.
What?
God, what? God bless you, whale size.
Like a whale-sized blessing?
Yes.
Oh!
Because there's no comma, so I don't think they're calling us whale
love
size.
that. Well,
God bless you, whale size.
sometimes.
Either way, thank you.
I think I'm going to use that now. I'm stealing that. I like that.
We appreciate it.
And if I don't like you, it'll be mouse size.
Here's a mouse size blessing for you. Thank you so much. We appreciate you guys watching and listening, and we'll see you next time.
You do got to pay a little bit. You have to pay a little bit. It's you know, one time though, once you.
Whoa, you have a spider on your face.
I felt it. I thought it was a hair. Is it gone? Was it daddy long leg?
No, it was like it might have been a bug. I don't know.